Well, welcome to Go for Lunch, number 56. Lots of Go for Lunches here under our belt, and thank you for joining me today. I hope your day is going well. So, this is the Memorial Day edition of Go for Lunch. So, hope you had a chance yesterday to pause and thank the people that died for us so that we could be safe and free here in the United States. So, Go for Lunch is brought to you by GoFor Technology, where we make your technology work for you. And if you're new here, please type new in the comments so we can get to know you. And if you're new, then you may not know, I'm Roger Harmon, the founder of GoFor Technology. And I do other things besides Mac related services, like stand on 11-foot tall ladders adjusting Ring spotlight cameras. So that was actually taken yesterday. So I had installed 4 other cameras for this client who's going to be out of town and wants to keep track of what's happening at his home here in Tucson. So if you'd like to brush up on camera technology, you could go back to Go for Lunch number 13, where we covered all sorts of surveillance cameras in different price ranges. But today, we're going to talk about fire. It could happen to you. And unfortunately, what prompted this program was one of my clients had a house fire. So let me come back here and see who else has joined us. We've had a little conversation going on here, started by Leslie Ann about her. I don't know anything about the love relationship, but the hate relationship with Alexa, who is obviously not cooperating. And Kurt seems to have the same problem. So we will definitely cover Alexa. I'm not sure I have any answers as far as making it work better, but there may be some tricks and tips that I can pass along. Thanks for joining, Bob. Glad to see you. Welcome to the neighborhood. And Stanley. Good evening, Stanley. Glad to have you here. So Leslie Ann says that she wants to have, I should say the echo, because I have one sitting right over here that could be talking to me at any time if I keep saying her name, to announce GoFor Tech on the, I didn't read that. Announce GoFor Tech on all devices, but she ignores me. Well, gee whiz, maybe she knows I'm a Big Apple guy. That could be the reason. And Judy's with us. Welcome, Judy. Okay, so thanks you everybody for joining us. So, sad story. One of my clients came home, opened her front door, and billows of white smoke came out. So, this could happen to you. So, we want to talk about some things that you can do so that it wouldn't happen to you, or if it does happen to you, you will be in a better way to deal with it. So, to give you a visual, this is her time machine backup drive. Many of you know about these drives from OWC, the Mercury Elite Pro, which is in a metal housing, which in this case was a good thing because a plastic housed hard drive probably would not have done very well. As you can see here, the discoloration was from the heat and possibly the soot, but this doesn't rub off. So that's some kind of a reaction to extreme heat on the metal. So this drive actually did continue to function, or iMac continued to function, but it did a time machine backup. However, when I tried to use it to migrate her data to her new M1 iMac, that she got the last one at the Apple Store that day in pink, It did not work, so I had to make a new time machine backup with another drive to get her data over to her new machine. So here is the actual iMac that was in the fire. You can see here on the chin, which is what this metal area below the screen is called, you can see some discoloration there. And then here on your right, you see there were some papers and pens on the base of the iMac, and where those were there, you see the regular aluminum color, but where they weren't, you can see how it got scorched. So it did get subjected to a lot of heat, and it is very smoky smelling even now. So I brought it into my lab. If I ever do this again, I'm not going to bring it into my house. I'm just going to leave it in the garage and work on it there because it still smells of smoke. So fortunately, her insurance company, which was State Farm, declared all of her electronics as damaged and needing replacement. So she will get all those things replaced. So let's talk about disaster recovery. So the first thing we're going to look at today is inventory. It's really hard to tell the insurance company what's missing when you don't know. So you need to know beforehand, and just this should be a continuous process. You can get a template for numbers, your spreadsheet that comes with every Macintosh, and it's a really nice home inventory. It is already pre-formatted for you. It even has a place to put a picture in there if you like. So you can have a description, you can have the price, you should have proof of purchase, and a serial number if applicable. So that is a real good thing to be a part of when you buy something, especially anything that's valuable, worth a lot of money. Just make that one of the things you do, like filing the manual in your computer so you can find it, downloading a manual from their website and put it in your computer so you'll have it when you need it. Marking the power transformer with what device it goes to, because they never show you what device they belong to. They just have a generic name of the manufacturer of the power transformer, not the manufacturer of the device that it connects to. And then adding that device to your home inventory list so that you just make that part of the process of getting a new device. And Susan says that talking about Memorial Day, that if your spouse was a current or retired military, you are eligible for USAA, which offers excellent insurance, banking, and financial planning. That's a very good point, Susan. I have USAA because I'm a sole surviving son, and they have been very good to me as far as my homeowner's insurance when I've needed it. My friend, who I'm going to talk about in a little while, had USAA insurance when she had a flood. So that's a good point. It's a very good company with excellent support and good rates. So, okay. So you should also confirm with your insurance agent that you have the proper coverage. So if you have an inordinate amount of anything, like lots of jewelry, lots of camera equipment, fancy home theater system, lots of computer equipment, make sure that that is covered. So make sure that not only is it covered in your house, if you're renting, make sure you have sufficient renter's insurance, and also figure out what happens if it gets stolen from your car away from the house, or if it gets stolen while you're on vacation. So, that's a lot of details, but it's something you should kind of do a little recap with your insurance agent to see what kind of insurance coverage you have. So another part of disaster recovery is your backup strategy. We may have heard about the 3-2-1 backup strategy, and you're going to hear about it again today. So I've kind of modified this um, to be number one is a time machine backup. That's the software that comes with every Mac computer. And the second one, I suggest using Carbon Copy Cloner. That's another piece of software requiring yet another external hard drive. So the Time Machine is an external hard drive. Carbon Copy Cloner is an additional hard drive. You don't want to put those both on the same hard drive because if it fails, you've lost both. Then, so Carbon Copy Cloner is really nice to have when your internal hard drive fails. So if your Mac is 3 to 5 years old, the manufacturer of that internal hard drive, unless it's a solid state drive, the internal spinning drive expects that drive to die in 3 to 5 years. So if that happens, then you can just boot your Carbon Copy Cloner external drive and be back in business. All your stuff will be there and you can continue to operate until you figure out that you're going to buy a new Mac. And then the third part of the backup strategy is an off-site backup, for which we recommend Backblaze. So Backblaze is a off-site web-based backup system, and so they every night when you're not, or any time during the day when you're not using the computer, it is continually backing up your computer to their computer with multiple drives. So it's not just going to one drive at Backblaze, they're backing up your backups. So it's very secure. It costs about $60 per computer per year. And if you want to get a link to that, it's always at the bottom of the GoFor Gazette, our little newsletter that comes out every Monday morning at 7 o'clock, which we hope you'll share with other people. So one of the best things about Backblaze is that if you do need it, if you do lose everything in your house, and of course if you have a fire, an A10 lands on your house, or a flood or whatever, you're going to lose your Time Machine, you're going to lose your Carbon Copy Cloner, and of course you're going to lose your Mac. So that's why the off-site backup is very important. So Backblaze is your off-site backup. Again, a link to Backblaze is in the bottom of the GoFor Gazette every Monday morning. So we're going to talk about a couple of different devices that you should have in your house and know how to use. A smoke and carbon dioxide sensor or sensors, fire extinguishers, leak detectors, and know how to evacuate your house. So let's just look here and see what is going on in the comments. And Susan has a good point here on insurance. Replacement insurance is important. If you don't have it, everything will be covered at a depreciated cost. My house had a massive flood, water pressure in the water heater, so she has learned the hard way. So she is sharing that wisdom with us, and appreciate that, Susan. Thank you very much. And Chris has been a Backblaze user for 10 years. So that's a company that's been around, and they're going to stay around because they're doing an excellent job. Okay, so we're going to talk about these 4 topics here in a little more detail. First, smoke and carbon dioxide sensors. Now, I recommend that you use devices that work with HomeKit. And for review, HomeKit is the home automation system that comes with your Mac, your iPhone, and your iPad. There's bunches of devices that work with HomeKit, such as light switches and thermostats and cameras and smoke detectors. So the reason we like HomeKit is because it is secure. Many of your other companies like Nest, which is owned by Google, known for selling your information, are not so secure. Another advantage of using HomeKit is that it works outside your home. If your smoke detector goes off, you know wherever you are and you have your iPhone with you. And another advantage is that it can activate lights or other devices to help you have a safe evacuation. So let's talk about fire extinguishers. But first, before you try to find your fire extinguisher, you call 911 and get the firefighters rolling to your address. And then you go look for the fire extinguisher. If you're not confident in how to use it, then you just evacuate the house. So as far as fire extinguishers go, there's a couple of things. You need to make sure that it is up to date and working, and that you know how to use it, like aiming it at the base of the fire. We have a special guest with us here today. This is fire extinguisher. So you can mount these. They usually come with a wall bracket, so you can mount it on the wall. And so what you need to make sure, I'm going to try to get this up here so it'll focus and get the light out of the way. Okay, so this little, that's actually green. It doesn't look like green on the screen, but this little green section here means that the fire extinguisher is good. Green is good. And then down here is a 0, which is not focusing, but that's a 0 right there near the bottom. And so if it's the little needle is on the 0, it's not good. And if the little needle is up here anyplace else on this gauge, it is not good. So hopefully you can see that. So then the fire extinguisher has instructions. So they tell you to pull the pin first, aim at the base of the fire when you're 6 feet away, and sweep it back side to side as you squeeze and depress the lever. Another important thing is make sure that it covers the kind of fires you're likely to encounter. This one covers trash, liquids, which like gasoline, and electrical. So you can get these at your big box store. A lot of times they come in 2 packs. So I would recommend that you have one near the kitchen, but not right next to the stove, for example, because that's a very likely place for a fire to start. So on the periphery of the kitchen, as well as on the periphery of the garage, which is another likely place that a fire could start, so that you can grab it and go into the garage, but not have to go into the garage and grab it, because there might be fire between you and it if it's in the garage. So so make sure you have a fire extinguisher. Mount it so you know exactly where it is at all times. It can't be moved around, and know how to use it. And if you're afraid to use it, then just call 911 and get out of the house. So let's see. So we have I guess we really have to do an Alexis meeting. So save up your Alexis questions and experiences, and we will do that. Maybe we'll have Carolyn on as a guest, and she can tell us how she loves Alexa for many things. And then actually we'll just send her over to Leslie Ann's house, and she can show her how it works. And Backblaze is a yearly subscription of $60. And I guess they can bill it monthly, but I think you get a discount. So Leslie Ann, you should change that to a yearly, because you save, I don't know, something, 5% if you do it yearly instead of monthly. So I'm sure they'd be glad to change you to yearly, and you can save a little bit of money. Okay. So let's talk about leak detectors. Now, I explained that I had a friend that had damage from a water leak. She was on vacation. She came home and there was water coming out under her garage. She said, "Oh, has it rained since I've been gone?" And I said, "No." So what had happened is her quarter inch line going into her refrigerator ice maker had burst and just kept, flowing water from the city out into her home. So she had USAA insurance and they took care of everything, but that process took about 4 months. They had to tear out all of her flooring. They had to tear out some of her drywall. They had to replace her cabinets and, get the mold out of there. So it was no fun. So have a leak detector. And the best places to start with leak detectors would be the kitchen, because your water line to your refrigerator could break, and also next to your dishwasher. So anywhere on the floor in the kitchen would probably catch both of those situations. And then, as Susan had mentioned earlier, your water heater is another common source for water leaks in the home. So you put a leak detector. Again, this would be a HomeKit enabled device. So if you're not home, if you're on vacation, you can know that there's a problem and take immediate action instead of getting the bad news when you return home. So leak detectors are very important. Water can do almost as much damage as fire. Being aware of how to get out of your house is, it sounds kind of simple, we don't live in giant houses where we'd, probably have a problem, but just have a mental. So this is what I call mental gymnastics. I used to train my dispatchers when I ran the Pima County Communication Center. Mental gymnastics. So when things are slow, think to yourself, well, if we had a plane crash, what would I do? Who would I call first? What services do I need to send? Who do I need to notify? And go over that in your head. So get it kind of locked into your head. So when it happens, it's in your subconscious. You just pull it out and do it. And you don't have to think, well, where do I go? What do I do? You'll know. So know which exit to leave from your house. If it's needs a key to get the door open, make sure you have a key in an accessible place. And then once you get out of the house, make sure that everybody in the house knows to come to one place to meet, so you can quickly account for everybody being safe. Another sad part of my friend who had the house fire recently is her cat died in the house fire. So let the firefighters know that there's pets inside by putting signs on the outside so they can be aware and look for those pets and get them to safety. And another great idea, not just for a fire or other emergency, is to have a security door lockbox. So that looks something like this. There's several different brands. And the way it works is that you put your house key or keys inside this lockbox. You attach the lockbox securely either to your metal security door or to the wall right next to your front door, and only the fire department and the paramedics carry a key with them at all times on their vehicles to open this box. So they, number one, can get into your house quicker to fight a fire or to provide you with emergency medical services. And secondly, they don't tear down your expensive wrought iron security door and your expensive front door doing it. So you save time and you save money because they just can unlock it, walk in, and get everything done much faster. So that's another idea for being prepared. And let's see. Okay, Kurt says a HomeKit GoFor session would be great. I'm with you, Kurt. We'll definitely do that. And Susan has a lockbox on her front door. And that's a good point, Susan. So you just call up the fire department, whether it's the Tucson Fire or Rural Fire or Northwest Fire or whatever fire department covers your area, and they will tell you which lockbox to get. And then once you mount it, then you call them up, and they come out with their special key, and they unlock the box. You put your house keys in the box. They lock it up with the special key only the fire department has, and you're all set to go. So thanks for that clarification, Susan. That's a good idea. And these boxes cost, I think the last time I priced them, they were about $70. So it's kind of like the lockbox a realtor puts on a house when it's for sale, but it's not quite. It's definitely not as complex because it just uses a key, whereas the realtor lockboxes use a actually now they unlock them with their phones, so there's got a lot more electronics in it. This is just strictly mechanical, just a key, no batteries, nothing to change there. And Susan says, tell them about my Ting message above. Your Ting message. I think I know what you're talking about, Susan, but remind me, is Ting the app that notifies people if you don't respond at a certain time? So go ahead and answer that. We, as always, have a delay. Today it's about 20 seconds between the time you put a comment in and the time that I see it. So be aware of that. So while we're waiting for Susan to clarify that, let's talk about whatever you have questions about. Now, the things that I have mentioned, smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, a couple other things are down there in the comments here on the YouTube page right down below. So just look right down there, and there will be a lot of information that you can go to get more specifics about what we are talking about. Next week, preview of coming attractions, drum roll please, the Worldwide Developers Conference. Of course, this is the Worldwide Apple Developers Conference, and it starts off next Monday, June the 7th, with a keynote at 10 o'clock. So you can watch that keynote. But if you don't want to watch that keynote, what you can do is join GoFor Lunch on the next day, Tuesday the 8th of June at high noon, and I will give you a recap highlighting the things that happened there that I think will be of interest to you. So you can have a personalized recap of the keynote speech. Usually these run about 2 hours, and they will be talking about the next operating system for the Mac. Is it going to be called Mac OS 12? Or so right now it's called Big Sur, Mac OS 11. Is it going to be called Bakersfield? Or maybe Fresno? I don't know. So we'll find out what it's called. And then, of course, there will be iOS 15 for your phone and iPad OS 15 for your iPad. And, of course, a new operating system for your Apple Watch. So usually they don't announce hardware, but people are hoping they're going to announce new M1 iMacs with larger screens and an M1 MacBook Pro with a 16-inch screen. But no guarantees that that's going to happen. But it's definitely going to be software-centric. And the invitation had "and away we code" on there. So pretty much tells us it's about coding, about programming apps. So that's another little clue. Now, a lot of people like to guess what the signs that Apple, the hints that they think Apple is giving. So you see here on the left, you see the eyeglasses have a reflection here. And this is actually computer code. So people have gone out and put this code and tried to decipher what it means to figure out what's going to be covered. So That's always a fun sport around WWDC, as it's called, Worldwide Developers Conference. So that is all coming next week on GoFor Lunch. So, any questions about anything while we're waiting for that? Remember, if you haven't already, to subscribe. And down below here, if I can get my hand to go that way, there's a little bell next to subscribe, and you can click on the bell, and then that will notify you when we have another YouTube video up. Sometimes we put up GoFor Tech briefings, which are shorter little videos about little things that will help you. We are still, of course, coming to see you more and more, because masks are less and less of a problem or a requirement. And we also can do screen sharing. We use screen sharing through the Apple Messages app, which doesn't always work. So our plan B is Zoom, where I can set up so you can share your screen so I can see it and help you with whatever you need. So sometimes we can do it remotely, sometimes we have to do it in person. So I don't see any other questions, but you don't have to just wait till next week to ask questions. You can ask them anytime by calling the number that'll be appearing on your screen momentarily, or sending an email to that address that will be there too. So I'm available Monday through Saturday to help you with whatever you have. And remember, we have a free service. Before you buy something, please call me. I saw something yesterday where, older people, the gesture for using a phone is this, but young people, when they ask how do you symbolize using a phone, they go like this. I thought that was kind of interesting. Little trivia there for you folks. No extra charge for that. Speaking of extra charge, if you'd like to support this broadcast, which doesn't happen for free, then you can, on the newsletter, there's a link to Buy Me a Coffee, which is a little service that allows you to contribute to my efforts here if you like. So that's always helps out, helps pay the bills, and that is appreciated. So thank you, Chris. Glad that we were able to remind you something. We hope that a fire never happens to us, or we have a mindset it happens to other people. It's not going to happen to us, but it could happen to you. So hopefully the tips that we provided will prevent it happening, and in the unfortunate case that it does, you will be prepared with home inventory and the other things that will help you recover your household items. Okay, well, thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week. Have a safe rest of your week.